ain't shadow ban you this time.
You came up this shadow ban me, so I'm all three at once.
Wait, so hell, boy.
So
That screen showing black.
you were showing black.
Screen. Thighs up now. Brother in.
We good to go. All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Hakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who grew well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there, pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds, in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, pushing to get about it, and shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. All right. With the brother GMS Mississippi Camp, coming with another live stream for the day. And what we're gonna get into now, the Strait Gate. And there's a spirit, the first brother to come on, all right, was the brother GMS, Virgin Islands, Strait Gate, showing you that it's the spirit because we come from a culture, America, to where even the poor people are pampered. Even people in poverty, have a level of comfort and pamper in this society. Okay, this is what you call a first world, all right, society. Okay, where there's abundance, in everything. Okay, and people are so used to being pampered, all right, that when this devil, comes, with before he makes this see him mandatory, what he's gonna do is gonna snatch comfort, okay, from the masses, man. Okay, and discomfort is going to make the masses fold. All right, and that's why Howard Shaw was giving us game that look, we okay have to walk in the straight gate. That's the way that's going to lead to the kingdom. Okay, and on the path of the straight gate now. We experience certain difficulties. Odds are stacked against us. Certain, hatred and particular things that we receive, but it's going to increase. Okay, so that's why the Lord, is constantly turning up the knob, on each brother's hill. All right, because it's preparing us for, the straight gate. Everything that we do in life is preparing us to go through this straight gate. That's what it's all about. Because those that make it through the straight gate, that's who's going to be delivered. And it's going to go into. You got it, bro.
You want that Matthew or that Luke first?
Get that Matthew
7:13.
Yeah.
So let's just start at 13. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 13. It says, "Enter ye in at the straight gate.
Yep.
For the wide gate is broad. It's like for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction."
Yeah. So you have, two gates, the straight gate and the broad gate. Okay. And the broad gate, that's the do as thou wilt. That's the gate of comfort. That's the gate. That's the way. That you can live out of the flesh. Or you can live what they saw a soft lifestyle. Because America is the culture where men live soft lifestyles. Okay, men, getting their weekly manicures and pedicures and shit. You know, spas and shit. Because that's the thing, self care. But this is overboard how they do it here in America, especially amongst the men that live these soft lifestyles, man. Okay, so that's the broad gate. Go ahead.
It says that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat.
Yeah. So many find that broad gate. Because you can believe anything, you can do anything. You know, you see, there's no discipline required. There's no self-restraint required. You see, you can just let yourself go. And that's the gate that most people. That's the path that most people are on. That broad gate. Okay. They're settled in. They're comforted. They're allowing the beast to constantly pamper them, and it's setting them up for failure. Okay, you got it, bro.
And I want to read that in the NLT.
Oh, you got it.
It says it says you can enter the Most High's kingdom only through the narrow gate.
Yep, you can enter to the kingdom only through the narrow gate. Okay, so we gotta. That's the rite of passage. Matter of fact, look up that term, rite of passage.
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage.
Yep, rite of passage. RGHT of passage. Okay, but there's a level of suffering that we have to go through as believers. Okay, and that's our rite of passage, man. As we um are being found worthy for the kingdom. Just as Yahweh Shah suffered for his position. Okay, if we're part of the elect, then we have predestinated positions and offices in the heavens that we have to suffer for, man, in the kingdom to come. Okay, come get that
Like that
that
rite
rite
of
of passage.
passage.
Yeah.
Got that too. It says a rite of passage is a ceremony or event that marks a significant transition in a person's life, often signifying a chance in
Change, yeah.
a change throughout in social status or role.
Yeah, so read it again.
It says a rite of passage
Yep.
is a ceremony or event that marks a significant transition in a person's life, often signifying a change in social status or role.
Yeah, so if we want to be kings and priests, well, we gotta go through the rite of passage. Okay? We gotta go, through this ceremony, this ritual of being humiliated for Yahweh Shai, to suffer difficulty for Yahweh Shai before we transition into the kings and priests, those joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. We got to go through that rite of passage, man. Okay? And us being here as the Lord breaks down this economy, breaks down this society, you know, we're going to have to be proven, okay, in the times and the hour of temptation. We're going to have to be proven, man. You know, the Lord, just like, you're dealing with a woman, you don't know what you got until affliction comes. You don't know what you got until time of uncomfort. Okay? So the Lord is trying his men to see what he got. Hey, that's gonna be the test, how we react, okay, when we're uncomfortable. You see? Because it's easy to put on when things are going easy, when you're comfortable, okay, when you got your convenience, anybody can put on the act then, okay? But when affliction comes, you can't act your way out of affliction. You gotta be built a certain way, okay? What you made of is gonna be shown in affliction. You see? What we made of is going to be shown in this affliction, man. That's why this grace period is about us, constantly being hardened for these times, man. We can't have emotions. We're gonna see some things, man. The Lord might allow us to see some loved ones get jacked up. Okay, what you gonna do then? You see your mama get took to the fire squad. What you gonna do then? Your aunties, your uncles. Okay, your woman might betray you. Okay, what you gonna do? See, we coming to a time where we gonna have to have a mental fortitude, all right, that's calcified, that's solid, okay, that's unmovable, man. We might see some things, man. All right. So we can't act like, that we're beyond, difficulties. Now it's just, a cruise into the kingdom. No. Okay. We finna see some things, man. The Lord finna really test us in certain ways and see the way we think of people. The Most High don't think of people like that. Everything outside the elect is disposable to the Most High. So He'll put people around us, let us get attached to Him a little bit, and then He can cause something to happen just to see how we react. Damn the person. Yep. It ain't about them. It's all about the elect. It's all about how His elect are gonna react in the fire in the midst of this. Okay? So we have to understand the way that the Most High think of death and people and your auntie, your father, your mother, your little brother, the way you think of them, the Most High don't think of them like that. He's not all, soft and tender and, hesitant to do what he gotta do. No. He don't think of spirits like we think of spirits, man. You know? You got it, bro.
I thought you dropped the precept. I want to read the rest of this. It says this typically involves three phases: separation,
Yep.
transition, and incorporation.
And that's the rite of passage. It says transition. It says separation.
Separation,
Then transition.
then incorporation.
Then incorporation. And that's what this word does. This word separates us. Okay. It starts to work on us. It isolates us from everything that we've everything that we was familiar with growing up. His word separates us from that. Okay. Then we begin to transition into, see, we're transitioning into these joint areas. Okay. Get that real quick to uh let's get some rock 10 and 4 and then jump to 8.
Come on, ask to that Bible shot if I can.
You got it, bro.
I'll look at that. Cause going into that separation, yesterday the lady was talking about that separation goes into like some parts of it. You look it up, it goes a lot with death, and that's us being dead to this world. Because it said it breaks down the separation. It says the individual leaves their familiar world or form of status.
Hey, familiar world or form of status, man. You know, so we have to understand when we woke up to the truth, we begin the process of this rite of passage, man. You know, and to get to that last phase of being incorporated, okay, into the ruling class of Israel, okay, we got to make it through the Strait Gate. We got to suffer the Strait Gate. We're gonna take loss, man. You know, you might have a family of 5, and it might just be you at the end. Okay, you gotta be ready to stomach these things, man. We gotta put our mind. We gotta meditate these things now. You know, we gotta meditate on these things right now. Like this could happen. The Lord can do this. The Lord told Ezekiel, "Look, I'm gonna kill your wife. Don't cry. You know, don't even go through the rituals. Don't go through the mourning. Don't do none of that. All right." He pretty much told him to kill your wife. Don't show any emotions and don't do any, all right, of the traditions for the dead. Okay. He called her he called, I think, the joy of his eye. You know, what brother can find. I think that's Ezekiel 20 something, you know. But he told Ezekiel he was going to, put his wife to death, man. You know, the apple of his eye. Okay. But you got that in,
Sirach?
Yeah, Sirach.
Trying to find out for you.
Yeah, brother might get it.
Come. What was it? What was the chapters? Sirach.
Sirach 10, verse 4.
This is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 4. It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, and in due time he will set it over one that is profitable.
In due time. And we in that due time now. And that one that is profitable is Yahweh Shah. Okay, and the joint heirs that's going to be with Yahweh Shah, we're going through that rite of passage, man. You know, which begins with us being separated, man. Okay, we're not here to kick it like that. We have times the Most High give us moments, but we're not here to kick it like that. Okay, we're not here to be the best husband, the best father. We're not here to be the best grandson and best son. We're not here for that. Okay, that was our old. See, we when we was in the world, we weren't awakened to our true purpose. You know, but now that we've awakened to our true purpose, it's above all that. You see your people when you see you and your family, however you deal. But see, now this is what everything is about. That's why we can't get bogged down in the things of this world. Cause see, if someone is not on the mission, they don't understand the mission. Okay, if the people that's not on the mission, no matter how close they are to you, they don't understand the mission. They're gonna be caught up in the reality that you're not in. Okay, and you can't make, we can't make our reality their reality. They just gonna be in this, this this spaced out, reality. Okay, they're not gonna see the severity of what we do. Okay, and most they just know, some niggas that know precepts. Okay, you got it, bro.
What scripture say is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So they not gonna know. They always gonna think, we just some niggas that know precept. We study the Bible. We've been called what? What's one of the words? Holier than thou. Yeah. We've been called all type of things because people don't know the severity and what we do. And like you said this morning, when the Lord come back, then people gonna understand, oh shit. Yeah. They're gonna be too late for that. Yeah. Let me read down on there, go back to that Matthew.
Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8.
Because it go into that rite of passage. One of them. Because it was the first one was separation, then what the transition.
Transition.
Yep.
I'm gonna read that part for you too. 16 and 8.
Yep.
Is Ecclesiastes of Sirach, chapter 10, verse 8. It says, because of the unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another.
Hey, so the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So the kingdom is being translated from one people to another, and we know that that people is being translated is being translated from Jacob. I mean, from Esau, and is being translated to Jacob. Okay, now us being Israelites, all right, sons of Jacob, we have a chance to be joint heirs in this kingdom that's being transitioned into the earth. So that's why the Lord has us transitioning to kings and priests. Okay, you see, we're not what we were in the world. Okay, we wasn't here to play these little worldly roles. We got to handle our business and obligation. We do these things, but that's not what we was here. That's not what we're here for. Okay, and I say people that's not on the mission don't understand the mission. Okay, they don't understand the severity of it. To them, it's just something we do on the side. You know, but no, this is everything. Because this is eternity. Like what we're doing now. You brothers, you know, you're here tuned in, you brothers that's teaching and got your own ministries. We're tapping into eternity, man. You know, whenever we leave this and go do other shit, this is worldly shit that's gonna pass away. You see? Whenever we leave this, we're leaving eternity to go fuck with some shit that's finna pass away. Don't even matter like that. You know, but to these people it means so much because they not tapped into the eternal. They don't understand the transition part of it. Okay, so as the kingdom is being translated, we're being translated. Okay, let's get that what does it say in translation? You say three part. What does it say in the transition?
Just the transition part. It says, I'm gonna summarize it up. It says a period, a state of being in between where individual is neither in their old role nor fully in the new role.
Yeah, so a person is not in their old role or fully in their new role. You see? So we're in that transition and we should be more and more into our new role under Yahweh Shai and further away from the old role that we were in the world. Go ahead.
It says this phase may involve tests, ordeals, or learning new skills.
Yep, tests, ordeals, or learning new skills, man. And we're learning to be judges, man. We're learning how to judge. Okay, we learning how to move and operate in the spirit. That's a skill. That's why it has to be practiced daily. You know, we practicing how to judge daily. We practicing how to move and maneuver daily. You know, because it's a skill. You see? So we're becoming keen, like it's like the definition for keen goes into becoming skillful, acute in a particular skill, man. So we're in that transition phase to be those kings and priests. That's our new office, and that's gonna be our office forever if we endure, if we make it through the straight gate. You know? But see, if you're not a part of this thing, if you haven't been given the mission, there's no way you can understand what's at stake. That's why the world don't understand us, man. Why our decision making is like it is. Okay, because they don't understand what's at stake. We understand, like, no, this is the one opportunity we have to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. You know, this is the one chance we got to show our appreciation for the sacrifice Yahweh Shai made. You know?
If I'm gonna add to it, just a quick point, because you was making, you said we leave, our main obligation, we leave eternal life to go and, do the day-to-day shit. And I hate to use this analogy, but to keep it at just a simple form, for edification. Superman was Superman. He was Clark Kent. Clark Kent was his side hustle. His full purpose was being Superman. Our full purpose, our task, our mission is to be men of Yahweh Shema Shah, men and it's a few sincere sisters. It's to serve the king. Put it like that. Our main purpose is to serve the king, Yahweh Shema Shah. This day to day, you gotta do that, to pay your bills and everything, but this is our side hustle. how about Shemal Shai serving? How about Shemal Shai? That's our purpose. That's the main thing. I just wanted to add that to what you
Kind of the beautiful analogy, bro. I think the brother found that too.
Right.
Yeah, brother Boyan Yashala. I think a few of them up there will get some off the comment board. You know, because this is why we gotta be tapped in. You know, because we all come from, some brothers came from the matriarch and, this soft ass, effeminate, emotional, weak shit in America, man. So we gotta tap back in and see true masculinity comes from Yahweh Bashim Al Shai being in the spirit, man. Understanding what gotta be done, the hell with the emotions of people and how people feel. We gotta constantly do what needs to be done. Cause emotions everywhere, especially emotions of a woman, they're gonna be all over the place, man. The woman don't understand the mission. Okay? Those brothers have to understand. So there's gonna be times when the woman gonna have her lips poked out, okay, about some worldly shit or whatever. You see, because this means this shit. The world means way more to the woman than it does to us. We don't give a fuck. See, the type of level that we have to where we don't give a fuck, the woman can't even go there. She's not built to even go to that point not to give a fuck like we do.
And they'll prove
You
it.
see? So you have to understand that. So as men, okay, we have to understand that we have to prepare our minds to do what got to be done, regardless of the emotions around us, what people think, your mom ain't seen you in a while or whatever, your grandma, hey, look, we're going to see them forever. That's what you have to understand. The people that we miss these little moments with, we going to see them forever. Because nobody is thinking about the back end. Everybody just want what they want right now. Nobody is thinking about the back end. But see, that's why the scriptures, has given us the foresight to think way on down the road. Okay? Go ahead.
Let me read more on that Ecclesiasticus.
I'll get that on comment for. Get that in
Ezekiel.
Yeah, then get that in second.
Con 15, 16. They have 15 to 18. It's the brother by Young Yasharala. Ezekiel chapter 24, verse 15. It says, also the word of the Lord Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes,
the
stroke.
The desire of thine eyes was a stroke, speaking of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's why you get caught up and be too booed up. Okay? You in this, this family matter spirit, man. Okay? It's brothers got their situation. And you can be too into that. Okay? And to say like the Lord, like I say, that's first you look at that's my woman, my wife. First that was the Lord's spirit before she was anything. That's a spirit that the Lord created. And he do what he want. Okay? Go ahead.
God, it says, yet neither shall thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears run down.
Neither shall thou mourn, weep, nor thy tears run down. So he's telling him, look, I'm going to take the desire of your eye. And they don't tell him how good she was to Ezekiel. We don't know the details, man. But the Lord will do something, okay, to prove a point. Because guess what? If we are the elect, the Lord gonna make sure that whatever pieces need to be put out the way for us to make it, them pieces gonna be removed. And see, the Lord can see further than we can see. And we're in a time where things are gonna be happening quick to where we can't get caught up and trying to figure out like, damn, why the Lord did that. No, he did it. Now let's move on. It's done. Yep. He can see further than us. Yeah, this shit over with now. Ain't no sense even trying to figure it out, trying to reflect and be analytical. No, he did it. Let's move.
Let's just be real. Yeah. Ain't nothing you can do about
it. What you gonna do anyway? Okay, we'll get jacked up some more for still not getting it. Nigga, you still don't get it, nigga.
That's one thing, bro. Salaki, just from,
bro.
Like, speaking as a man, as a personal perspective, before I came into truth, understanding, like, the Lord got a way of getting your
Yep.
He'll start off like you said, like, if that woman, because becomes a hindrance, or she start to pull you away from him, or just when we in that transition that we call it, like the Lord would jack our ass up, and from a spiritual perspective, to get us to a certain point where you ain't got nobody. Okay, Lord, shit, like you win, like you said, like you steady trying to force something, and Lord, like no, this ain't the play.
Nah.
Ain't nothing you can do about it.
No. You got it, bro. There's some more in it.
Con. This is Brother Hopeful Elect 3. He dropped the other two. Verse 17, it says, "Forbear to cry, make no mourning for the dead, bind the tire of thine head upon thee,
Yep.
and put thy shoes upon thy feet, and cover thy lips, and eat no bread of men."
So, the rituals, all right, the traditions of, when someone died, the Lord told Ezekiel, don't do none of that. Okay. And then that goes into what the Apostle Paul, matter of fact, if you can read that in Second Corinthians.
Read that last one.
Oh yeah, read that last one, then jump to Second Corinthians. No, First Corinthians 7, I believe it's 32. Oh yeah. You started 31.
Come on, verse 18, it says, "So I spake unto the people in the morning, and at even my wife died, and I did in the morning as I was commanded."
Hey, so he stood on what the Lord said, you know. So, his wife, was put to death, okay? And he was commanded not to cry, not to show no emotion about it, man. You know? So you gotta understand the power that we deal with is a very austere power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And he's not fidgety. Okay? All right. He doesn't tiptoe around.
Austere.
Okay? He do what he does, and that's what it is. Okay, regardless how whoever feel about it. The way that we consider, all these emotions and shit. The Most High not considering all these emotions. The Most High wants his results. He wants his will done in the earth, man. You know, you found that at Second Corinthians, First Corinthians 7 started 31.
Come, First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 31. It says, "And they that use this world as not abusing it,
Yep.
for the fashion of this world passeth away."
So we use this world, we don't abuse it because the fashion of this world passes away. So like I say, we have to deal in this world. We have to deal and play our little role and be involved and act like we care about shit that we really don't care about. Okay? Or we use the world for our day-to-day needs, but we don't abuse it. We don't get engulfed and get trapped into this shit and make this shit a bigger deal than what it is, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Come, if I may add, like some simple again, entertainment. You may watch a movie or something like that, or a certain song or whatever. You're not finna be like the 2/3 of everybody else, and now you mimicking your life to this shit.
Yeah.
You use it. You might be in the gym or something. Need to get hyped up for your workout. Going on a run. But shit, I'm not finna go buy no clothes. I'm not finna start acting like these folks. I'm not finna start doing none of that. We use the world. We don't abuse it. Using it is taking advantage. The necessary advantage of it when you can. Abusing it is now you ain't no kind of you just out of pocket now.
Yep.
You going out. You know. You can keep reading that, bro.
Keep reading that.
Verse 32, it says, "But I will have you without carefulness, and he that is unmarried cared for the things that belong to the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shot,
Yep.
how he may please the Lord."
Yeah, so because you had this, this thing in the book of in the time of Apostle Paul, he was dealing with, the church of Corinth, you know, and he had a lot going on, a lot of questions was asked by him about marriage, so he's giving his advice in the spirit, but he said, look, you unmarried, you can tap in, because you don't have those, worldly obligations of marriage. Okay, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Come.
But then he said everybody got their proper gift, whatever was meant for, each brother to have, he got it, you know. But then he just goes into the different perspectives, okay, of being married. He goes into the pros and cons of being married and being unmarried. Go ahead.
I want to read that NLT just to back you up.
Yep.
It says, verse 32, it says, "I want you to be free from the concerns of this life. An unmarried man can spend his time doing the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai's work and thinking how to please him.
Yep, thinking how to please the Lord. You know, you can be tapped in. You know, you have more time to be tapped in. You know, but then he says, he has some that will burn. So it's better to marry, than to burn. So everybody got their proper gift. But he just goes into the point that if you're unmarried, that's why. As a matter of fact, keep reading. It's gonna explain itself.
Come on, verse 33. It says, "But he that is married care for the things that are of the world. How may he please his wife?"
Yep. How he may please his wife, because you gotta deal. You gotta deal with worldly shit. You gotta deal with the obligation. Because marriage ain't just two niggas hunching. You know, man and woman just hunching. Like, no, it's a full obligation. That's
Responsibility.
That's a full time, all right, responsibility. Okay.
If I'm
Go ahead.
I mean, hey, we went into it a while ago. Notice in the book of the Apocrypha, roughly paraphrasing, it says, he who getteth a wife getteth a possession. Now, a lot of people take that word possession and run with it, but that word possession was going into a responsibility. Like it's a responsibility to have a woman. The same way you have a car, you gotta make sure your car running. You gotta do your oil changes and your maintenance and everything like that. Your woman, you gotta make sure you taking care of the things within righteousness. But long story short, not to get long winded, it's a responsibility that you have. It's a responsibility that comes with it. Like you said, it ain't just two people rubbing up against each other. No, this is a full responsibility that you have to tend to now. You know?
Tell him, bro.
Verse 34, it says, "There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman care for the things of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married care for the things of the world, how she may please her husband."
Can you read?
Verse 35, it says, "This I speak for my own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. If any man, if any man,"
see
36.
36.
"But if any man think that he be,"
She might be above 31. Oh yeah, this verse 29. 29 and 30. That's what I meant to say.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 29, it says, "But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as if they had none."
Yeah, so they that have wives be as though they had none. Because we got an office in this thing, man. And a lot of times we're gonna be out of pocket. We're not gonna be there to be, those TV husbands. Okay, the Esau portrays. You know, they're not here to lay up, and parlay. Okay, 24/7. There's moments, Lord allow you to do particular things, but that's not our purpose. Because remember, we're grinding to be able to do this forever. Okay, we're grinding so we'll have eternity. Do you understand eternity? The time that we're gonna have, the excess of time that we're gonna have in the kingdom. Okay, but this we gotta work. We gotta enter into the straight gate. We gotta make it through the straight gate to get to the kingdom. Okay, so there's gonna be times when we're so occupied in this thing, even though we have wives, it's gonna be as though we had none. Okay, and that's part of the sacrifice, man. Okay, everybody, according to their own portion. All right, but you can
So I had to get to this book.
okay.
I get to my AK 5. What you saying, bro? 29? Let me read 30.
Yeah.
Gone. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 30, it says, "And they that weep as they weep not,
Yep.
they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as they possess not."
Yeah, so it says they that weep as though they weep not, they rejoice as they rejoice not. So they're dealing with emotions. So it's pretty much the Apostle Paul saying, look, you gotta be emotionless in these times. We in the time where we gotta be emotionless, man. We can't be in our emotions and have this mind frame of, you know, uh, when we see judgment, as if, uh, the Lord, because you can be so attached, you can be attached to this shit, and when judgment happens, you would think the Lord doing too much. Like the Lord finna tear some shit up. Okay, and if you still look at this shit a certain way from a Western perspective, and this emotional, and you would think the Lord doing too much when you see judgment, man. If you think certain things are off limits, like the Lord wouldn't do this, and He wouldn't, you don't know what the Lord gonna do, how He gonna do it. You know,
They already got bug outs already talking. You know, one lady, one of the damn motherfucker was comparing the Lord to Batman. To my Batman will never come out. How we know? But the point is, like she already bugged out, and the Lord ain't even start showcasing power yet. So she gonna be through. Like she ain't gonna be able to fathom. What the Lord finna get ready to do to this place. A lot of times we read the precepts. I know me, and sometimes I gotta read it twice. Like, oh shit. Like the Lord ain't playing.
uh,
And that's why I tell people, niggas play too much. Cause they think the Lord is something to play with. They think, the Lord is, you're already in a society where, they try to push that the Lord is optional.
yep.
Niggas play, they take everything as a joke. And the Lord finna show you who the biggest joker, biggest joker is. You know? Yeah, bro.
Um, you can jump to then it said they that what it say they that buy.
It says they that buy as though they possess not.
If though they possess not. So no matter what we obtain in this society, it's like we don't own anything. Like we don't have anything. Because everything is temporal. Everything is just a phase. Okay, to get to where the Lord wants us to be. Because it's all about the Lord. Everything we do is all about Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Nothing we do, He's not disregarding anything we do. Any move we make, any dollar we spend, everything is for Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Okay, and what He wants. Okay, so we have to move with this mindset. We're not here to get rich. We're not here, to you know, uh, reach a certain status and have certain clout and particular things. No, that's not the purpose. Okay, we'll get that. We got that coming forever. We gotta keep reiterating that these things are coming forever. Why invest the majority of your time in something temporal when we have an opportunity to invest the majority of our time in something that's gonna be eternal? Okay, you gotta think what's the best payout? A currency that's gonna fail. Okay, a woman that can leave any second. Okay, because a woman fickle as hell. Okay, you see, status that ain't gonna matter when judgment hit. Okay, so what the hell, boy? What do you invest into some things that are so goddamn fragile? Okay, when we have a chance to invest in eternity, man, we have an opportunity to invest in forever, man. Okay, when I say we have a different reality than everyone else, man. Matter of fact, you can get that in uh Colossians 3:1 and read it in NLT because it goes into that new reality. Then we ended on that second Ezra 14:13-15. You got it, bro.
It says second English.
Yeah, 14 verses 13-15. Yeah, you get that Colossians 3:1 2 and 2.
Colossians 3 and 2.
Yeah,
This is Colossians 3 and verse 2. Think about these things of heaven, not the things of earth.
that's
And
NLT.
come.
That's verse 2.
Verse 2 come.
Yeah, read verse 1.
This is Colossians 3 verse 1. It says, since you have been risen to new life in Hamashiach, set your sights on the realities of heaven.
The realities, okay? We have a new reality. We have a different reality than everyone else, man. And we can't let people draw us into their reality, man. Okay, because their reality is not rooted in salvation. Their reality is not rooted in fulfilling the office that we have in Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay, people around us, their reality not rooted in it. Okay, they get sucked into this shit easy. Okay, we looking beyond this shit. This shit don't matter to us. Okay, what's everything to them is nothing to us. Okay, this shit is everything to them. We don't give a shit. You see? Go ahead.
Con. It says where Hamashiach sits in the place of honor at the Most High's right hand.
Yep. So Yahweh Shai sits in honor at the right hand of the Heavenly Father. And see, and able to get, see, and Yahweh Shai had to suffer to get to that place. So we have to be ready to suffer to get there. You know, we have to be prepared to suffer to get to that point. You know, go ahead.
Con. It says, and this is back in NLT, it says, think about things of heaven, not the things of earth.
Yep. Oh, you go back to that. You go with that second Ezra 14 now, bro.
Said 14, 15, and 16.
You know, start at 13, reading at 15.
Con, second Exodus, chapter 13.
Chapter 14.
Chapter 14, verse 13.
Yeah, yeah.
It says, now therefore set thy house in order and reprove thy people. Confront such of them as be in trouble and now renounce corruption.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing now. You know, we're getting ourselves in order because we know the house begins with us. You know, and you might have a family that believes, you know, them in order, you know, being that example, you know, being that leadership, you know, just getting them in order. Okay. And then it said denounce corruption, man. We gotta denounce all this shit, man. All this shit is wicked. All this shit is bad, man. Okay, we not here to, like I say, we not here to be a community outreach to niggas, man. All this shit wicked. Everything niggas do is wicked, man. The nigga woman, okay, this society, Esau, everything he has set up is wicked, man. None of it is good, and we're constantly denouncing these things, man. You know, go ahead.
Con. It says, let go of the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man.
Hey, let go of the mortal thoughts, cast away the burden of man. Okay, you gotta put over the mortal thoughts, the burdens of men. You know what can happen, you know, to my auntie, my grandma, she old, what she gonna do in these times? There's mortal thoughts. Okay, those are mortal thoughts, man. We gotta think like immortals. The scriptures say these are they that put off the mortal and put on immortal. Now, of course, we're gonna shed these mortal bodies and put on immortal bodies. But before we get into those immortal bodies, we have to think immortal, man. And when you think like a mortal, you're not thinking about time like that. This little shit don't matter. This little time, this don't even register to immortality, man. Okay? This little shit don't even factor in. Okay? We're not missing nothing, man. Okay? There's nothing that we're missing in this world, in this society, man. Babylon has absolutely nothing to offer, man. Why would we take the sea hip to do what? To be plugged back into a world that we hate? Okay? To plug back into a system that we hate. So we're gonna betray Yahweh Shai and plug into a system that we hate. What sense would that make? You know?
For even a shorter period of time.
Yeah, right before the nukes hit. Because when the CHIP is mandated, remember things are gonna move quick. You know, the Lord's gonna speed this thing up even quicker, man. Okay, and we gotta be 10 toes down. Look, 414. Our brothers out there. You got it, bro.
Verse. I'm gonna read the rest of verse 14. I'm gonna read it again. It says, "Let go of that. Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of men. Put off now the weak nature."
That's a weak nature, man. You know, to be overly concerned with, you know, people's feelings and emotions. Nah, man, we doing what we gotta do, man. You know, we doing what we gotta do for Yahweh Shai, man. Damn people's emotions and feelings, you know. Sometimes you gotta put that on the back burner, man. As men, you know, especially in this society, because as a man, you wanna, you know, you consider everybody, you know. But there's times when we gotta consider what's best for the Yahweh Shai's interest, man. Okay, can't just, you know, be about, you know, the interests of everyone else, man. You do what you can when you can, but nah, man, it's about the interest of your house shot. Making sure we're available for him. That's what, because see, this world try to get you to be a slave to everything, man. This world get you to be a slave to your family, a slave to your job, a slave, to your, to your mother, especially on the matriarch. Okay, when your woman your mother act like you owe her forever, you like, God damn, I raised you, but I mean, God damn, that mean I owe you forever.
But forever and
Yeah,
ever.
God damn, was it a shit? Was it a running tab on this shit? You know. So this society is built on having the Israelite man in bondage to everything except the Lord. Okay, so we gotta be watchful for that, man, because and people do it and don't even mean it. It's just how this system works. You know. So as men of Yahweh Shema Shai, we gotta be watchful for that, man, and not allowing ourselves to get bogged down in shit that don't matter. You got it, bro.
Come. It says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy upon thee,
Yep.
and haste thee to flee from these times.
Yep, haste to flee from these times. You know. So these heavy thoughts, come from mortal thoughts, man. Okay, you have to understand, we got everything coming. Howard Shah said his reward is coming with him, man. The reward Yahweh Shai got, man, it make us forget about all this shit we got now. You know what I'm saying? Just a little piece of the reward Yahweh Shai got, it'll make us forget about all this little shit we think we got right now, man.
Trailer of the kingdom.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we gotta really understand, like, nah, man, we serve Yahweh Shai, man, and what he can give us, man. That's why he told, matter of fact, we ended on that. Let's get that in Matthew 19 and 27. Because the straight gate gonna come with sacrifice, man. That's why the Lord constantly requires sacrifice from us now. More and more, He's requiring more and more. You know, the longer we're in the truth, the more the Lord gonna require. He's gonna require a little bit more time, a little bit more sacrifice, a little bit more resources. He's gonna require you to be separated a little more, isolated a little more, study a little more, read a little more, watch a little more. Okay. You see, be active in this a little more. The Lord's gonna require more. Okay? So our duties in Yahweh Shai constantly increase, and our obligations in this world begin to decrease, man. Go ahead.
As for precept,
got
I must decrease, he must increase.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that out there.
St. John, yeah.
Matthew chapter 9, chapter 19, verse 27.
Yep.
It says, Then Peter said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee.
Yep.
What shall we have thereof?
Yeah, so we have forsaken all and followed thee. What should we have thereof? Okay. So these men had families, they had houses and lands, things going, and they abandoned it to follow Yahweh Shai. Because there's certain things that requires us to abandon to follow Yahweh Shai. Certain things the Lord, He'll allow us to have, certain things because He'll let us have certain things in Him, things that don't alter us from serving Him. He'll let us have particular things, man. Say every brother got their proper gift, whatever's fit for them, in their office. Okay? Go ahead.
Come. Scroll down. Verse 28, it says, And Yahweh Shai said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which shall follow me in the regeneration of the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, and ye shall sit upon the 12 throne, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
And read again.
Verse 28, it says, And Yahweh Shai said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which shall follow me in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon the 12 tribes, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
On 12 thrones. Yeah, should we say 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel?
Sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yep. So, and he's speaking to the disciples, who those are going to be the top men. Their thrones are going to be right next, to Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's going to be the top tier, the kings. Okay, in the kingdom of the Yahweh Shai is those 12. Okay, and us, Lord will, we have an order under that 12. Okay, to be in those, seats, okay, of authority, okay, forever, you know. So Yahweh Shai is telling them, the reward. Like, look, these things that you forsaken, cause we understand Yahweh Shai created spirits, man.
Mm-hmm.
The Heavenly Father created him, and Yahweh Shai created everything, man. So how can we lose?
Mm-hmm.
What is a house compared to what Yahweh Shai gonna give us? What are houses in Babylon? What are mansions in Babylon compared to what Yahweh Shai is gonna give us, man? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's a woman or two or three compared, a Babylonian woman at that, an American woman at that, compared to what Yahweh Shai is gonna give us, man?
Okay.
Okay, so what the hell can we lose? What's a car to chariots, man? Okay, we have to understand, like, nah, man, we finna level up in a whole nother way. We finna truly level up, man. Okay? This shit here is temporary just to get us by. This shit is just to get us to the chariots, man. Okay? These things, these are situations that we're in, they're to get us to the chariots, man. Okay? And the Lord is going to save whole families. Now, that's going to be a thing, too. The Lord, there's families out there that's sincerely serving the Lord, the man, the woman, you have second generation children, children being born in the truth. The Lord going to save families, man. Men, women, and children. Families are going to be delivered. Okay? That's going to happen. You see? And the thing is, there's going to be a other side to where the Lord's going to separate families too. Okay? So we're just giving both sides of the spectrum. Okay? You got it, bro.
It says that everyone that has forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive in 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life.
Yeah, 100-fold, man. You know? So ain't no loss in your house shot. We're gonna go on the straight gate. We're gonna be separated from these things, but it really ain't no loss. Okay, and you get to the point where we don't even care about shit like that, man. You can't wait till this ain't even a thing to where you got to even be concerned about this shit, possessions of this world, because everything comes with a responsibility and the hassle in this world. Okay, some type of hassle or responsibility, man. But nah, man, we can't wait till we're fully separated from these things, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But you finished it. You read that last.
Verse 30 it says, but many that are first shall be last, and last shall be first.
Yeah, and the last shall be first. And right now we're the last. Okay, but Yahweh Shai is gonna put us first, man. It's gonna be in righteousness. We're gonna have that power, but we're gonna have humility. We're gonna have balance. Okay, so we in a good spot. We're in the best place that you can be in. Okay, in existence. There's no better opportunity within existence than the position we have, man. That's why we gotta show that daily appreciation for it. Okay, so that was the point. We just wanted to go into that. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. Gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem Chakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our young brothers, and peace and blessing salutations to the hopefully. Shalom.
Shalom.